The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, welcome everybody to another presentation by the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development. This is the Inspection Unit's fifth presentation of the 5-part series IOR webinar, how to prepare for the IOR exam and what to expect. This session is a summary session, and we're going to be going over a lot of important bullet points of what we mentioned in the first 4 sessions on, the presentations range anywhere between what's on the exam, how to prepare for the exam, how many questions on the exam, and even what some of your responsibilities as an IOR are if you're a current IOR, or what they could be if you're looking to be an inspector of record certified through the Office of Statewide Health Planning and Development. Today's presentation is going to be about an hour long, maybe shorter. We're going to try to do a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. So at the end of the presentation, what we're going to do is we're going to ask that you raise your hand, if you will, in the go-to panel. You'll see a little hand mark there. Go ahead and click that. We'll see it on our end. We will unmute you, and then you unmute yourself, and we can have a discussion, whether it's a question from this webinar or a question from other webinars, if you were able to join us on the other webinars, or maybe even a clarification, or maybe even share an experience of what you've seen out in the field. So we encourage that. Again, this is a question and answer open mic forum, so we encourage that type of discussion. Keep in mind that you will all be muted during the presentation. So if you have a specific question that you want to ask and you want to type it into the go-to panel, please do so. We'll go ahead and read those as well at the end of the presentation. Make sure that you keep your questions generic as much as possible. If you have a question that you need clarification on, and it pertains to a specific issue or a specific project, please feel free to email us at oshpd.fddisu@oshpod.ca.gov. Again, that's oshpd.fddisu@oshpod.ca.gov. And again, we are dealing with technology, so if any issues with the video or audio, what we would do is that we would ask that you log off and then log back in using the same registration link that was sent to you by the go-to software in order to join us again on the presentation. And if we have similar issues, we'll go ahead and log off as well and do the same. So with that being said, today for presenters, we have James Penn. He is with the Inspection Services Unit. He's a district structural engineer. We have Dave Carina with the American Construction Inspectors Association, or ACIA. And at the end of the presentation, we will have the rest of the ISU team, or Inspection Services Unit team, open up their mic as well for the question and answer, and they're going to be helping us with answering the questions that you may have. So again, thank you for joining us. And with that being said, James, if you're there, I will go ahead and hand over the presentation to you.
Yes, I'm here. So good morning, everybody. This is James Pan. So I will be conducting the summary section of this webinar. So for the one who had joined in the prior webinars, part 1 was covered by Nancy Rippenstove and Michelle Lachinka about the application process. Part 2 was by our supervisor, Jola Bui, who did the preparation of the exam and what are in the exam for codes and plain reading. Part 3 is by Caesar, and Caesar did the TIO and some safety and whatnot. forwards by Monica, and it includes some IOR duties and some, again, how to plan the exam. And we also have Chris Davis. He might not be able to join us in the main portion of the presentation, but he will be helping us on the Q&A. So again, the agenda. Sorry about that. The slides that I created will be the IOR responsibilities. Those are the slides that are different from the prior sections. Section 1 is the minimum qualification technical exams, and I will be briefly cover the A, B, and C exam types and the qualifications. Section 2 is the exam format. There are two exams for class A and B, and it's the written portion for which are the code questions, and then the plain reading section. How to plan the exams and how to read a set of plans. We will go over that quickly because that's an individual commitment and to gain and retain the knowledge by yourself. Okay. Sorry about that. There's a slight delay, and then I click on the cursor faster than what it needs to be. So section 3 is actually the TIO form or the TIO program, and the TOR's responsibilities versus the IOR's responsibility, the IOR strength, and the daily reports that are required to be prepared, how to complete them properly, and when to notify OSHPD the discrepancies and corrective actions. And Monica covered the OSHPD field monitoring and the IOR's performance. And in section 4, the common theme is the IOR's responsibilities, right? So that's what the first few main slides of my summary. Then we will have a guest speaker, and then we will go to the questions and answers. So IOR's responsibility. So I'm doing this presentation kind of from the end. So if you are the IOR and at the completion of the project or every 12 months for a longer project or larger project, you will be review on your IOR's performance of duties. So there are 8 items, and ISG, we have been trying to be friendly, and we haven't been giving you the code sections when we conducting webinars, but this will be from 7.145 and 7.151. These are the 2 sections that are the IOR's responsibilities. So I will read them, one by one. The first one is the inspector shall have personal knowledge obtained by continuous inspection of all parts of the work of construction in all stages of its progress to ensure that the work is in accordance with the approved construction documents. So the parentheses are the code sections, and it will be observed if you have conducted a meet or does not meet of these duties at the end of the project or during the 12 months period. Number 2 is the all inconsistencies or seeming errors in the approved construction document shall be reported promptly to the architect or engineer in responsible charge for interpretation and instruction, and that's 7.145A3. And the architect or engineer in responsible charge, you will see the term DPOR that we use in throughout the webinars. Number 3 is the inspector shall maintain a file of approved construction documents on the job at all times, including all codes and regulations referred to in the approved construction document and all reports of tests and inspections. And delete the second sentence because that's that's 7.145A3 that I covered earlier. I apologize when I was copying and pasting. Oh, this might be in the observation forms that I was mistakenly duplicate. So this is 7.145A4. Number 4 is the inspector shall notify the office as required by CAC 145A5, and they include 48 hours for the first placement of concrete when project start or resume, and when project stop, right? And then there's another one 48 hours in advance when the foundation form is ready. So just review the requirement for 7145A5. Number 5, the inspectors of records shall maintain field records as the daily reports of construction progress for each day or any portion of a day that they are present at the project site location. So that's 7145A6. Number 6 is all field records of construction progress that including the daily IOR reports, test and special inspection report, etc., shall be retained on the job site until the completion of the work. And these two are the code sections for it. Number 7 is the inspector shall notify the contractor in writing of any deviation from the approved construction document or new construction not in compliance with the California Building Standard Codes. That's 7145B, and this is a very I would say a very critical, and some people do not like to post fill-in, and you might not use the word as non-compliance notice. However, anything that is deviations or deficiencies and it's not corrected immediately, that you need to inform the contractor or worker in writing. And next, number 8 is the verified compliance report shall be submitted to the office at the intervals or stages of the work as stated in the approved testing, inspection, observation program and when required by the office. And these are the three sections of the code, and it's 7151. So next is the section 1. So then these are the application forms that you download from our website. And for Class A, these two slides show the metrics, and you need to select one of the method that you want to apply. And the right side column are the required documents, and all these are actually in CAC 7204. We did not make up the requirements. They are all in the regulations. And the majority of people will be qualifying through method 1, right? So you need to have 6 years of document experience on inspections of type 1 or 2 constructions. And on the right-hand side is the additional required documents that you need to submit with your applications. And same thing for Class B. Class B, majority of us will be qualifying through method 1, and that's 4 years of experience on type 1 or 2 constructions. However, there are other ways that you can be qualified for. And again, the right-hand side columns are the required documents. Class C, there are many specialties noted in the regulations. And most of you might have certifications noted on the in the CAC 7204C already. However, that certification alone is not the only requirements. You still need to submit document experience of 4 years. And the 4 years is not just on inspection only. You could be the representative of doing testing or observation of any of these parties, participants. So just kind of keep in mind that for Class A and B, you must be doing inspections. But for Class C, you could be an observer, or you could be the person that's conducting some test. And again, there are 2 other methods to get into Class C. I have this pool questions is not live, so it is how many classifications are there for the OSHPD certified hospital inspectors? So think of a few seconds, and I will provide the answer. So as you know, there are 3 classifications for our OSHPD certified inspectors, A, B, and C. So next, I will be covering the exam format. So for Class A, there are 80 questions in the core knowledge and 80 questions in the plain reading, and they are 4 hours each. And for the core reading is weighted more heavily on the administrative regulations and in the structural discipline. However, keep in mind the core and plain reading, the scores are combined and average. So I expect people who are applying have a good knowledge on how to read pens. That's the key. Who are complex and you might not be well rounded on all the requirements. However, in reading, in my personal opinion, it is the same throughout the disciplines. Class B, again, is 80 questions for the code sections. It's 4 hours, weighted more heavily on the admin portion. However, in the afternoon, it's only 40 questions on the plain reading, and it's 2 hours. And it's not weighted on any one discipline. For Class C, a majority of the applicants will be taking the administrative portion only. It's 20 questions, 1 hour. However, if you are applying to our anchorage and bracing specialties, you will require to take 2 tests, and one is the admin, and then one is the anchorage and bracing. So it's 2 hours and 1 hour each. And they are no in reading for any of the Class C exams. So how can you best prepare for the exam? Core knowledge, these are the highlights that I gather from the prior presentations. You want to gather all the code books and reference standards and materials. They might be HTMs and whatnot, and APS. Review the table of contents and to familiarize yourself how to find different areas of interest quickly. And keep in mind, working on OSHPD acute care projects, there are adoption tables at the beginning of each chapter. So you want to take a look on the adoption tables, the metrics, and then OSHPD 1 and 4, usually there are brackets on the sections on which chapters or sections that are actually adopted. And highlight key code sections, title, and influence, that are focused on healthcare facilities, right? And then you might want to tab the books, so you can easily find them. And one of the suggestions that we obtained was, the index are in the back, but you might want to put them in the front, so you don't need to go to the back of the codes, to get the table of content, not the table of contents, but the index. And talk to others, on how to prep for the exam. If you are the special inspectors, talk to the IORs that you are working together on a regular basis. And one key thing is, look at the TIO form, right? All the required tests and special inspections, ISU actually spend a lot of time to update them every 3 years. And the code section that are required is actually noted on each line item. And lastly, you want to, personally commit some time to take the exam. It's not easy. I'm a structural engineer, and when I took the structural engineering exam, it could be on anything, right? And it's just the same thing as as our Class A exams. In reading, I would like to emphasize that perhaps some of us or you are kind of hand-feeding on the details, especially for the special inspectors. You are not reading it from the plans, and the specific detail is provided to you. So I have observed many individuals that, are just flipping through pages and sheets and try to find the details. That's not a way to do plain reading. You go to the plan first, and the plans, will give you information to refer you to another detail sheets and whatnot. So that's how you will need to navigate the drawings. And usually the drawings the construction documents are organized by discipline, right? A is MEP or A is MPE. mechanical and plumbing are together. There's no plumbing engineer as the mechanical engineer's discipline. And again, to understand all these symbols are for different disciplines and abbreviations. Usually, for the different disciplines, it's pretty standardized now that you will not see any spatial symbols and whatnot. And if they are noted on the drawings. And then this kind of conclude section 2. So what should you know prior to taking the Class A or B exam? Is it only code knowledge, or is it only plain reading skills, or is it code knowledge and plain reading skills, or you don't know? So the question, the correct answer is code knowledge and plain reading skills. So going to section B, what is the test and inspection observation program? It is a guide that the design professional use in administration of the construction for OSHPD projects, and is to increase the collaboration, accountability, and cooperations, and it provide assistance and efficient development and implementation of the code required tests. And it is a guide for field staff and IORs too, right? On every specific items, if the required tests are performed and these required special inspections are conducted. And it clarifies the roles and responsibility for each party involved and define the milestones in each project. And at times, milestones and intervals are not fine. However, if the owners or the designer want to obtain a certificate of substantial compliance, that's when the field staff may require you to have a special verified compliance report, and that's when it's required by the office and not in the TIO program. So this is the sample of the TIO program, the form. If you use the OSHPD form. And what is the TIO program? As the maintenance and administration, the TIO is a required element for OSHPD projects. The design professional record DPOR maintain all aspects of the TIO program to be current, and it is so-called living documents, and any changes could be made by we so-called the non-material altering change, and you just need to get one of the field staff to approve by initial and daily changes. And it's like I say, it's an evolving project, and they are really static. So any changes, usually the TIO program that's approved at building permit, every column, the individuals and firms are left blank as TBD. So prior to the start of that specific task, either the test or inspection, that need to be identified, and that one of the field staff to approve it. Here today, I'm actually having a delay or issue on advancing the slide.
No problem. I'll go ahead and advance the slides for you.
Yeah, because at times there's too much delay, and then when I advance it again, then it jump on the slide. So if you could help me. So next slide. Sure. So the even though the TIO is the DPOR's administrative responsibility, the IOR will be monitoring the TIO, right? Because you are the person that know the project on site and what will be required to conduct tests and spatial inspections. So you would need to have the personal knowledge when the inspection or test that's performed on or off-site, and any qualified entities that you want to identify and confirm that those individual or the firms are the one that's been approved by the designer and DPOR and OSHPD, and they are actually independent entities. Although some tests could be conducted by the contractors, where we'll just confirm the individual or firms are by the TIO. then reported, including the field description of the work tested or inspected, as well as the definitely compliance statements. So many tests and spatial inspection require the IOR's presence at the job site. You do not obtain that knowledge just by reporting of others. You actually need to be on site. So next. Who is responsible for what? So for the DPOR should coordinate with the owner, the OSHPD field staff, the IOR, and the design team, gather, distribute all the VCR. Actually, that's the DPOR's responsibility, and although many IORs have been gathering and presenting the VCR to field staff due to the IOR is the person that talking to field staff. However, it is actually the DPOR's responsibility. And also the TIO form is the DPOR's responsibility. Next. And, you will see the delegate terms used in the design professionals. They are the AOR is the DPOR, and then, SEOR, MEOR, and EEOR. And they will be coordinating with the DPOR, and the DPOR usually is the architect or record. We use the AOR term for all the tests and spatial inspection required on the project. And they will be conducting field visits to observe and report conditions relative to their designs. So if they have, observation report, the IOR should obtain those reports and keep it as part of the field records. And then they are required to submit VCRs, as identified on the TIO or when it's required by OSHPD. Next. And this is the flow chart you have seen, that the who are the delegates, and it could be all those, and then additionally any deferred submittal items, and sometimes even ACDs for the other specialties, curtain walls, the MEP, seismic bracings, all those are delegates, and those are records of the project. And again, every delegate could have more than one alternate to who have the same qualifications to assist them on the projects. And you will find all those individuals' name on ESP, and all project participants could see everything in the project through our ESP system, and your account will be the ECA account. So next. And the IOR's responsibility is to oversee overall quality assurance of the project. We are the QA portion of the team, and the QC quality control is done by the contractor. And the IOR will be coordinating and report and validating the work done by the testing laboratories, the owner provided third party agencies, and then the spatial inspectors too. Next. And continuing on, the IOR's responsibility will be will be validating the credentials of the spatial inspectors. So the spatial inspectors, if they are pre-approved by OPAA, the OPAA has a table of the listed individuals, and what they could be conducting on the spatial inspection are all listed. And if it's project specific, there should be a matrix or a binder of listed individuals who have been approved by the DPOR and OSHPD. So you should be validating if whoever showed up on the job site are the individuals. You will be collecting the test and spatial inspection reports, and you will be distributing to field staff when of the contractors and owners and DPOR for those reports. Next. And again, validating the work done by the contractors, and you will be submitting VCR to the DPOR as identified on the TIOs, and keeping records relative to for the sign off on the on the line items, and performing all IOR tests and spatial and inspection identified on the TIOR is the IOR's responsibility. Next. And what do you do if the project has more than one IOR? So in 7144 saying that when there's more than one IOR, the duties of each individual shall be clearly identified. And on our TIO form, we actually have a page to list the duties of each individual. And in addition, the IOR shall be identified, and that person will be kind of almost like a spokesperson to coordinating and communicating with the OSHPD field staff. And again, the IOR shall be approved by OSHPD prior to working on projects. If you are not approved by us, you are not actually the IOR, right? IOR is project specific. You will be just a certified hospital inspector. Next. And the IOR's daily report that's in 7145A6, and it's required that you need to have a daily report, although it does not state that you need to prepare them on a daily basis. However, you should do them on as soon as possible, so you might not forget on what happened a day or 2 days ago. And the next four bullets are the minimum require that are noted in the admin. What should the daily reports include? And I just briefly go over the time of arrival and departure, summary of work in progress, any deficiencies and deviations you need to note it. And then lastly, many IORs that I observe and not been doing that is it actually say that, when the corrections have been made for the deficiency and or deviations, you need to note it in your daily reports on the date, time, and the method of corrections. So keep in mind that is one of the minimum requirements. Next. And IOR shall maintain field records on site and includes your dailies, the test and special inspection report, a list of test reports of all non-conforming materials or defective workmanship, and indicate the method of corrections. And that's the same as as your daily, and approved construction documents, and including the codes and any deferred submittals, change orders, and whatnot. The TIO form, and then the building permit. And if you are considering using the cloud, any Dropbox and whatnot, discuss this with the field staff and to meet these code sections, and that usually require you to have a Wi-Fi or internet access at the project site. If not, then hard copy will be required because field staff may show up at the project site when you are not there. Next. And continue on field records for concrete, and these are actually in the admin to include, and that's why some IORs stated that if I have special inspectors, why do I need to be there? And this is one of the reasons, right? The regulations actually say that you need to be there, and these are the minimum requirements that you need to note it in your daily records. Next. Same thing for welding. Many IORs do not know, or they forgot that you're supposed to know the ID marks of each welders and listed the defective welds and the manner of corrections of the defects that you need to include it in your daily reports too. Next. Same thing for pile foundations, right? The next four borders are actually in the regulations. You need to list it how the pilings are being done, and include the name of the equipment used and the model numbers and whatnot. Next. And deviations from plans, what do you do? So hospital construction projects are often very complicated, and there are ways to do It usually is by the RFI process, and at times that it actually changed the approved construction documents. So in this scenario, what do you do? Next. So if you encounter any deviations from the approved construction documents, you want to make the contractor aware of the deviations. If the deviations are not corrected immediately, you need to notify the contractor in writing, and that's 7145B. A copy of the notice shall be forwarded to the DPOR owner and OSHPD. Next. Notice to OSHPD, these are the IOR's responsibilities, any deviation from the approved construction documents when work started or resumed on the project. The next are the things that I covered previously, 48 hours in advance for first time of the placement of concrete, and then the foundation changes are complete, ready for forms. And when work been suspended for a period of more than 2 weeks, you are required to inform the field staff about this. And regulations do not say what's the method of notifying OSHPD. It could be an email, phone call, but I suggest to do an email so you have a record when you inform OSHPD. Next. I have a poll question. What are the field records of construction to be maintained by the IORs? It's just the approved construction documents, the IOR's daily records of reports, all test and special inspection reports, or all of the above, or don't note. So the answer is all of the above, right? So next. So how to be a strong IOR? We are getting into the nitty-gritties of IOR's duties and responsibilities. So you need to know the code, which includes reference standards. And now the last few code cycles, now we adopted the manufacturer's installation instructions. So keep in mind, if the approved construction documents reference to any manufacturer's installation constructions, they are part of the approved construction documents, and you need to gain access to those instructions and read them before any work is conducted, and that including the research and the evaluation reports too. Knowing the symbols on the margin of the codes that usually tell you if the code's been updated, changed, or any code section been removed. There are different symbols for different codes. And what happened when there's a conflict between codes and reference standards? Monica had briefly informed you that when there's a conflict between codes and reference standards, code will be governed. It's not the most restricted. When there's conflict between codes, then usually the Pacific codes will be governing over the general sections, right? So it's not always just the most stringent or most conservative codes or reference standard will govern. And read the approved construction documents. This is something that I've been encountering when I conduct my regular field visits. People might, depending on your backgrounds, you might think that what is being constructed is code compliance. However, that might not be what the designer wants on that specific project. There's always a few ways to build something code compliance. However, you want to ensure what you are inspecting is actually what is shown on the approved construction documents. And most of our projects lately are remodel projects, so you do not have a set of specifications. However, many specifications are covered on the plans now, so make sure you read those specifications. And next. And key part is have an open communication with all the project participants, and that including the owners, the DPOR, the contractor records, and OSHPD field staff, right? And although not required by regulations, pre-construction meeting is preferable to kind of identify who is responsible for what, and if the IOR is going to be responsible for calling all the required tests and special inspections, is the IOR is going to be the person communicating with field staff on RFIs and whatnot and submittals. So, and having a regular OCA meetings is ideal. Identify IOR's responsibility, and I kind of talk about that, who, if the IOR will be the person that is contacting the approved agency for tests and special inspections and construction and inspection schedules, you'll be working with the contractor on that, and you are the eye and ears of the DPOR and OSHPD. And schedule regular field visit with OSHPD field staff. The project schedule, and before covering up, I suggest to contact the field staff, and if not, OSHPD field staff, we do run our reports on a regular basis, so we kind of know if the project has started and if the IORs have not informed OSHPD about the project. So next. And the next is the clarification. Go back one slide, Caesar. So clarifications and interpretations, that is the DPOR's responsibilities, and I hope the IORs will not direct work. Actually, next slide, Caesar. So any deviations or any confusions always reported to the DPOR for interpretations or directions on it. And for kind of with the non-material alternate change, since code cycle ago in 2013, we have kind of deviated ourselves on the AIA's definition of supplemental instructions, the addendums, the change orders, and whatnot. Now we are using non-material altered change or material altered change. So kind of 7153, and then also the remodel the amended construction document for older project 2010 and prior. And the material altered change that's actually require an ACD, and ACD means amended construction documents. And next. So as I mentioned earlier, if you are not contacting the field staff, it is actually the field staff's duties and responsibility to conduct field visit, and so then it is the judgment is necessary or proper by us. So even if you feel that you do not need to contact field staff will be visiting the project site, and that's why the field workers shall be remain on the project site. So if you are using the cloud base, make sure that you have a link or somehow that you are providing to the field staff. So when field staff are on site, he or she can gain access of the field records. Next. And also monitoring of the OSHPD's inspector records performance. This is 7.2.13. And it is OSHPD field staff's responsibilities, and that's why I show the first 8 items that are noted in the IOR's performance of duties form at the end of the project or 12 months period. That and also if the IOR is not competent or not adequate, the field staff will note it in his or her field visit report, and then inform the governing board or authority. And if it's a severe case, then the field staff will inform the RCO to recommend a stop work order, and then the RCO will be the person to determine if stop work order will be issued. Next. So IOR is good performance. To be responsible, be respectable, to know the codes and know the project and your duties, and be having a constant communication with all the project participants. And there's this so-called guide for working on projects under OSHPD jurisdiction, and this is actually on our website. And there are many tips in that guide that including communication with OSHPD, and there's a section on IORs. So I encourage everybody to read that, even though it's not in the regulations, and we do not cite you on violations if you do not do the items recommended by the guide. Next. Next, kind of conclude section 4. So the 4 questions are: what are the responsibility of the IORs? Is it working under the direction of the DPOR? Conduct continuous inspection of all parts of the work of construction for the approved construction documents. To maintain field records. Is it all of the above, or no vote? So the answer is all of the above, right? Next. So before we get into the gas speakers, actually, Dave Karina left me a voicemail just before we start the presentation. So I'm not sure if he's available now. But just kind of give you a heads up for the people who are apply and actually approved to take our exams. Keep an eye out for we might have an other webinar about what will be the requirements or process to take the exam during COVID-19. ISU, we have set a plan of the procedure to upper management. And if they approve the plan, we will provide a webinar and inform everybody on what to expect. So it appears that Dave is here. So I will hand over the mic to Dave.
Okay, thank you, James. Let me do a mic check real quick. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dave. See that? Okay, good.
Great. Okay, I put a hand raise up there just so everybody knew I was here. Okay, all right. Well, these are the bullet points as from ACIA, our polls that we have taken, and a lot of these are the summaries that we've done over the last few of these webinars. I want to thank the OSHPD ISU for inviting me to represent ACIA here. So thank you very much for that. For the people that are candidates and are considering becoming IORs, let me encourage you to do so. One of the things you want to do is self-evaluate, because you know better than anybody what your skill sets are, and decide for yourself what you need to do to improve the areas that need improvement in order for you to be successful. Check with the local community colleges for any construction technology courses. Some of them are still available. A lot of them are still available online. And also check the OSHPD as well as the ACIA websites. They both have a lot of information. As I said before, ACIA is working on some online training due to the recent COVID outbreak, and a lot more people are able to access this on the web. You want to stay focused on your commitment, because you only get out of it what you put in. There's no shortcuts. You've got to be committed to it. Plan ahead on your studies. You want to at least plan for at least 5 to 10 hours of study for each hour of the exam. It's not that many when it comes right down to it, but you're not going to be able to do this in a couple of days. You don't want to cram like you did in college, or high school, but you want to really plan ahead so you can get this the first time. You want to maintain a consistent study schedule. Long-term gains for temporary sacrifice are well worth it once you get past that and you do acquire that coveted OSHPD certification. If we know the libraries are probably closed right now, you'll want to find a place to study that has very little or no distractions. Kind of hard to do that when you're still working, but it is possible, trust me. You want to become familiarized very much so with the California Administrative Code, Chapter 7, Article 4. All the administrative requirements for IORs are in there, especially at the 7-145. When it comes to data reports, like James was saying, a lot of these reports that you want to put in there, you don't want to be sitting in the trailer waiting for your IRs to show up. Get out there and circulate around the job site, speak with the trades, take photographs, notify the contractor of the deficiencies when you see them in a timely manner. Best to do it with a email and a photograph so that you have a document that you can attach to your daily report. Inspect those building materials when they come in and they arrive. This can prevent time loss to incorrect deliveries. Try to get them when they're on the truck. List the activities on your daily reports. Special inspectors that are out there working with IORs, you work with a lot of different IORs and different projects, so you have the advantage of observing a lot of different methods of inspection. This is free, valuable training. Make sure you take notes on this. Talk to the IORs that you're working with. You also will have the support of the OSHPD field staff. They're one of the best resources you can possibly have. Be prepared for those visits from the OSHPD field staff, the DSC, the CO, and the FLSO. They will be coming around to see you, and you want to be prepared in advance. Have an agenda that includes any off-site special inspections. Be prepared to talk about the TIO, review that with them, maintain your logs if you have deficiency or non-compliance logs, RFI, construction schedule, your daily reports, the percentage of the project completion, any issues that are on the site. Also be aware of the project scope that is listed in the TIO and discuss that with the field staff. Have your documentation ready for the TIO items that are ready to sign off. You don't want to wait till the end of the project. As items become completed, talk to your field staff visitors and ask them if they think that you're at a point where you can sign some of these off. You don't want to wait till the end. Also, read all of the, review that TIO. Take a look at all of the code references that are in there, because a lot of these times they're going to make references to other publications like ASTMs that are prescribed also by that code, especially in the fire-resistant penetration and joint systems. On your site walks with the OSHPD staff, when they come visit you, invite the superintendent, your special inspectors, and you want to instill confidence in the OSHPD field staff that you are definitely competent in your inspections. You want to display that level of competence. Be consistent with your inspections. You want to be dependable. You don't want the contractor to be confused. Want to maintain an atmosphere of approachability where the contractor knows that when they're coming to knock on your door or see you in your office or approach you in the field, you're there to help them. You're there to help them guide through the project and through the code, because a lot of them just came off a code. Maybe that was an older code cycle, may not be aware of the changes or the updates in the code to the newest one. My last code project was on a 2010 code, as were a lot of the contractors on my project that I'm on now. And we're on the 2013 on this, and some of them weren't aware of some of the changes. So be prepared to answer any questions and help educate them. You also want to not only point out deficient work, but you want to be able to compliment work too. A little praise from the IOR goes a long ways. It helps on the site morale. It really maintains a professional atmosphere, and people are encouraged by that. You want to maintain your ethical standards. What are you wearing on your t-shirt? Are you sending out any messages that may voice your own opinion, but may not be the same opinion as others? It might be, if you're wearing a company shirt, that's fine. You don't want to be putting out any kind of messages that may draw some controversy to yourself. Same thing with the hard hat stickers, things like that. Decline any type of gratitudes that may be offered to you. People will offer to buy you coffee or donuts or give you a T-shirt, anything like that. You want to respectfully decline anything like that. You want to keep your complete attitude out there with everybody as generic as possible so that they can depend on you. When in doubt, document it. Put the time down, the date, and if the contractor needs to be notified, make sure you do that, and copy your field staff. The fact that you participated in these webinars says big things about you. Take the first step to becoming an IOR, and if you already are an IOR, be all the best you can. And that's it. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Dave.
Great, thanks. Thanks, Dave, for that. That's a lot of good information. I hope everyone's taking notes. And we provided a lot of code sections during this presentation. So with that being said, you may or may not have had a chance to write down the code sections. And if you didn't get a chance to download the PDF handout from the GoTo software, email us and we can go ahead and definitely send that over to you. So with that, this is intended to be a question and answer open mic session. So I encourage everyone to raise your hand and we can definitely call on you. So with that, I see that Brian had his hand up. So I'm going to go ahead and up to your name, Brian, and I'm going to unmute you. So once I do, go ahead and unmute yourself and you wanted to make a comment.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I think my question was just in regards to confirming that it's required, whether if there's a second or a third or even a fourth IOR on a single project, that all of those IORs are required to be listed on the TIO.
And yes,
And the answer to that is correct. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
Yes, it is required, and since the 2016 TIO form, I believe that we have added a section to it, and so your responsibility for the project shall be identified on that page.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
Sure.
Thank you for raising the hand, Brian. That definitely helps provide some clarification. And next, I see that Marceline had the hand up. Don't know if you're still there, but I'll go ahead and try to unmute you if you're there. Marceline, are you there? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read out some of these questions that were inputted, and it looks like maybe Nick, you have a question. Let me look up your name here, and I'll go ahead and unmute you. And Paul, I see you next as well, so we'll go in that order. Nick, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. I just had a quick question. Do you guys have any sort of training courses or know of any sort of study programs that would help us prepare for the test?
ICU or OSHPD, we do not have any courses to assist the persons who would like to take our exams. And this series of webinar is not geared toward by attending the webinars you will be able to pass the exam. So we have provided some pointers for you to prepare the exam. However, we do not have a training program at this time to assist you. And you will hear some, or you might be aware that we started a 10 minutes kind of field briefing last Wednesday, and we're going to have a series of 10 minutes briefing every Wednesday until the end of September. So you might want to join, and you might gain some knowledge on different subjects and issues.
How can I join that?
Well, we
go to the training and education webinar that you sign up for this series, and it's posted on our website currently.
Thank you.
And to add to what James said, we've also heard from other individuals preparing themselves for the IOR exam that they've actually used the TIO form or the TIO program on our website to kind of use as a study guide, because it provides a lot of code sections on there and just an overview of the TIO, and they use that as a study guide. I can also say that the tips for working with OSHPD on our website is also a good document to review, as it gives you the overall understanding of how the working with OSHPD projects goes. Mr. Quinn, I'm going to go ahead and mute you, and Paul, if you're still there, I'm going to unmute you. If you can unmute yourself.
And before we go to Paul, I will kind of chime in on the preparation of the exams. One thing is to be considered is, we will not be asking you any design related questions, right? So in my opinion, structural portion is actually the easiest, because it's so complicated nowadays. Everything is engineered or designed by analysis. So for the IOR's exam, we are not going to be asking you how to design or what are the capacity and whatnot for structural members, right? It's all geared toward inspection and test. So keep that in mind when you are reading the codes. Okay, go ahead, Cesar. So we can go on to Paul.
So Paul is going to be. We're at the 11:30 mark, so we're there. So Paul, you'll be the last question that we have on the open mic, and for those that didn't get their answers questioned in the go-to panel, please email us at oshpod.fddisu@oshpod.ca.gov. So with that, Paul, go ahead.
First off, thanks for providing this presentation, the 5 series. It's been great. So I sent in my application, for review about 3 weeks ago, and I'm just wondering, how long does it take to hear back about whether your qualifications are accepted or not, so you can sit for the exam?
Paul, do you apply for the next physical years, or
well, I sent ago? Yeah, I sent in my application just for the review process, with all the documentation. So, and I'm just wondering, how long does it take for you to hear back from saying that yes, you qualify, or no, you don't, or
Yeah, due to the initial cutoff for the applications, what you submitted has been put on hold. And due to the physical year, we just started the physical years. So on our website, it should be, informing you that when is the, the next exam cycle, when the application opened up. So as far as for what I know, your application has not been reviewed yet. And we do have Michelle here that we could probably confirm that we receive your applications or not.
Yeah, I spoke with her a week ago, and she told me that if I didn't hear back from her, she received it. So I never heard back from her, so she received it. So I guess it's just a hold pattern at this point.
Yes, yeah, due to physical year, and we were not able to process the application fee until July 1st, and usually take a few weeks before our system is all up and running for the new physical year. And I am going to kind of suggest something. So Cesar, if you don't mind, for anyone who want to stay and you still have questions, even though it's after the 11:30 mark, you are welcome to stay, and we will stay. And if not, we can conclude the presentations. So it's kind of up to the audience.
Yeah. So if you, great point, James. If you have a question that you want to have answered and we haven't gotten to you yet, please feel free to stick around. So let me make one last announcement for those that have to go. Want to let everybody know that joined us. First of all, thank you for joining us. Again, this was the last of the IOR series. Want to let those current IORs who are needing recertification that we do have recertification seminars, and instead of doing one long one, we're doing online webinar, and we have those posted on our website. We're doing through the rest of the month of July and in August as well. Those dates and titles of the presentations are on our website, and we will have, as James mentioned, a 10-minute webinar open mic discussion later on today, a matter of fact. And the topics range anywhere from design professionals on site, design professionals, and the TIO, inspector of records, and what your responsibilities are, and a lot of good information. Suggested tips from OSHPD and field advice coming in. So for those that have to go, thank you so much for joining us, and for those that would like to stay, we're going to go ahead and stick around a little bit longer if you'd like to have just an open mic discussion. So if you do have a question, or go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll call on you as I see those hands pop up. So for those that have to go, thank you again, and hope to hear from you soon.
And for the current, and real quick, for the current IORs, if your certification expire on September 30th and you did not receive the notification that the research will be conducted by webinars, please contact us ASAP, because the first section, the first webinar is next Wednesday, and you are required to attend all webinars. And then you will be scheduling an in-person examination with Michelle, and go to either the Sacramento office or the Los Angeles office at a later time and date. Okay, so we can go to the next.
Sure. So next we have Yusuf. If you're still there, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, and unmute yourself as well, please.
Yes, this is Yusuf. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
I'm already an IOR. I just got my certificate last year, and I want to encourage all the people that are planning to take the exam. The information that you guys provided, it's really, really helpful and very good. I wish I had that information a couple of years ago, but I encourage everyone to follow the direction that were presented, and ideas from David too, and everybody. And thank you. And this is just a quick comment.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you for that, Yusuf. And with that, kind of adding to that, we really want to promote the 10-minute webinars that we'll be having as you potential IORs, or even current long-standing IORs, or even new IORs like Yusuf here, will benefit from some of this information. And because it is an open mic session, we would encourage you to participate, and even provide some comments and experiences that you have and have gone through on these smaller projects and larger projects dealing with OSHPD. So thank you for that, Yusuf. And what I'm doing here is I'm looking through the questions that we received. Study programs, we answered that. And codebook questions. So one of the common questions that we receive are, do you have to bring all the codebooks to the exam, or do you have to buy all of the codebooks for the exam? So as James mentioned, we have proposed a plan on to how to administer and give the exam to our management. And James, is that something that you think you can explain a little more as far as the computer system and how we're thinking that might happen?
Yes, so during the COVID-19 pandemic, the method that we propose to take the exam will be all electronic. So it could be a pro or a con for the people who are qualified to take the exam, and it will be notified to you that you will not be bringing anything, and all the codes and reference standards will be uploaded to the machine that you will be using, as long as also the code questions and the plans and the plan reading questions. Everything will be loaded onto the computer that will be assigned to you, and also a waiver will be required to for you to sign before you are escorted to the exam site. So you just kind of keep posted on keeping an eye out for that information. Once that is approved by the management, we will be sending out the notification, and we probably will provide a webinar on the logistic on the so-called electronic based exam. but you still need to go in person into Sacramento office or the AOA office.
Yeah, and again, I want to emphasize that that's not something that's been approved yet. That's something that's on the table and being discussed. So just giving you a heads up as to what might come down the line for that as far as the IOR exam. So Michael, thank you for hanging out with us still. And I see that your hand is up. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. If you can unmute yourself and let us know what you're thinking. Michael, are you there? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and unraise his hand. And anybody else? Last comments?
Hello?
Yes. Hello, Michael?
Yeah, this is Michael. Sorry, I had microphone issues. Quick question regarding the application deadline and the weekly series. Can we have it all year long? These are very helpful.
To give you a short question is that we will be doing the 10 minutes and then the open mic. So right now it's a 30-minute section every Wednesday. And that will be going on every Wednesday since last Wednesday for a period of times until September 30th. And at that time, we will we will review the process and then the feedback that we obtain from all the stakeholders, and to consider if we will be conducting this so-called 10-minute field briefing on a regular basis or not. And also we will continue to have webinars to kind of educate or inform different stakeholders. At times we might have a specific webinar for building owners or the designers, and at times IORs and whatnot. But thank you for your for what you say on. It's been beneficial to you.
Yeah, thank you for that. And, any feedback that we can get from you as the attendees, and if you're looking to become an IOR, you're already currently an IOR, maybe you're a design professional. Any feedback that you can have and provide for us is going to only help us make these webinars better for you, and hopefully we're providing good information for you. Tyler, I see that your hand is raised, so I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Tyler, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself, I'd appreciate that.
Hey, Joe, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. Hey, James. No, great information. I really appreciate the opportunity to attend these. I think you guys put in really good information out, especially for existing IORs and new IORs. So thank you for that. My question is can you attend the recertification webinars even if you don't need to or plan to recertify?
We have discussed that, and due to our license, there's limitations, and currently I believe the so-called links are only sent to the people that are qualified or eligible to take the research, due to their certification will be expired on September 30th. However, if you are thinking to attend while your certificate is not expired, please send a request to the ISU inbox, and we will think about how to do that, because I think maybe some people who are ready to take the exam or whatnot might be thinking to attend the research webinar to gain some knowledge that we are sharing, because due to the 2019 code change, now we are not just covering on code changes. We could cover anything that we see that might be beneficial to the certified inspectors. So please, yes, think in the request, and we will consider if we will invite the people who are not, eligible to take the research.
Okay, great.
We have a. Okay, go ahead.
Just to reiterate what James says, we usually just give priority to the ones that are going to expire. That's our usual, our normal practice. But with this being an abnormal practice and everybody having to do it on the web and then people having to come into the office, so that's why we're saying you need to request that. But normally it still stands that priority will be given to the people who are to recertify or expire in September. They come first.
Yeah, because the main reason, Tyler, is also the certified hospital inspector are actually paying a fee, right, to attend the research webinars, and this registration process is set up to be like first come first serve, and whoever took the registration will take away one spot. So that's why we limited to the people who are qualified to take a research first. But I think we do have some open vacancy that we have not maxed out the registration. So please send in the request and we will consider that.
Sure. Yeah, because I wouldn't mind paying the fee, your registration fee either way, I know you guys give a lot of good information and it's the 2019 code. So it's always useful to, sit in and listen to that. So if that's the case, yeah, I'll send in a request and appreciate it. When does yours expire? Oh, I'm at the very end of each code cycle. So that's why I like to,
so
try
if
to get
you
in there early.
take it now, if for some reason you get into be able to take it, you can take the exam and change your date. Then it will be from 3 years from now.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you'll be just participating on the webinars, but you will not be scheduled to take the exam. So you will just attending the webinars only.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tyler, for that comment and feedback. We appreciate the discussion and the feedback, whether good or bad. It's always feedback that we can build upon for our webinars and future presentations as we move forward through this difficult time. So, with that being said, I don't see any other hands raised. I do want to go ahead and give you a brief explanation or outline of, it's a better outline of what our upcoming 10-minute webinars are going to be on. So today we're going to be presenting on DPORs, or Design Professionals of Record on Site. Next week we'll be talking about general contractors and approved construction documents. The week after that will be Design Professionals of Record and the TIO. The week after that, we'll be talking about hospital representative and responsibilities. And after that, we'll be discussing PIN 68. And after that, we'll be talking radiology vendors. So please feel free to log on to our website, register for the 10-minute webinars if you have time. Again, every Wednesday at 1 o'clock up until September 30th or so. So thank you for joining us on our presentation today. And with that being said, we are 17 minutes over. And thank you for hanging in with us and having a conversation. And with that being said, until.
Yes, and sorry to interrupt, Caesar. Before Caesar, I guess stop the broadcast. We do have a few question and answers at the end, and please spend some time to answer them as detailed as possible. Because as one gentleman mentioned that he suggests that could we have this webinars on an ongoing basis and nonstop. So that's why we want to gather as much information as possible, and we will assess the what the requests are. Because even though each webinar, the 10-minute webinars, the 30 minutes webinars, it does take a lot of time from us, and I do really appreciate the positive comments that we receive. However, any negative comments or whatever you want to be here or to be explained further, please answer those questions and submit it to us. Okay, thank you.
Great. Thank you, James, for reminding me of that. Yeah, we do have a survey at the end. Please fill it out. It's going to help us provide better webinars and more information for you as needed. So With that, thank you. If there's nothing else, James, Monica, anybody else on the call, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you, and until we talk next time.
Okay, thank you all. Goodbye and be safe.
Thank you.